So I get the feeling this video is going to make me sound like a complete asshole. So I apologize in advance if it does, but I had to make a video about this. Now, quick background, it's probably going to sound weird. I was watching 13 Reasons Why with my girlfriend today. If you're unfamiliar with 13 Reasons Why, it's a show on Netflix. It's still on Netflix. It's okay. Check it out if you want to. It's a bit depressing. It's about this girl that kind of offed herself because she was bullied at school and some other things that happened. And she gives her classmates a series of tapes, 13 tapes. And all the tapes are the 13 reasons why she committed, why she offed herself. It's 13 reasons why she offed herself. Now, we were watching that, and there's a scene where one of the kids in like season 2, he's listening to punk music, and the mom comes in and she goes,
"So what are you listening to?"
And he's like, "Oh, it's punk rock." And she's like,
"Oh, punk rock. Oh, it sounds a bit angry. It sounds like very angry music."
And he's like, yeah, mom. It is a bit angry. It's part of what makes punk rock. That's why I like it, because it sounds angry. She's like,
"Oh, well, if you ever want to talk to us about anything because you're listening to punk rock, you're free to let us know. You're free to talk to us."
And I'm sitting there laughing watching this because she reminds me of so many parents that I see. And if you've probably seen the title of the video, she's what I refer to, I know it's fiction, but she's what I would consider an unfit parent. Now, what do I mean when I say an unfit parent? Again, just to kind of preface this, I don't have kids. I don't plan on having kids anytime soon. I'm not a parent. I've never been a parent. And I totally understand that being a parent is very difficult. But one thing I do not like with parents is when I consider them to be unfit parents. And I think most parents are unfit parents. One of my core philosophies is that as a parent, you should have certain life experiences and you should have certain life philosophies based on things you've actually done or based on things you've actually learned. Does that make sense? And what I tend to find is that a lot of these parents that have kids, they have not done shit in their life besides live a very basic, a very common, a very straightforward life that had no struggle, that had no challenges or very few challenges. And maybe they coasted all through life, or maybe their life was just mediocre and they didn't really challenge themselves, so they didn't really have to struggle for anything. I see so many parents like that. And the reason why I don't like those types of parents is because they're not well equipped to handle their children's problem. If their children faces something, they're not equipped mentally to handle it or to even know where to begin with it. And again, I think this is most parents nowadays. And I know that probably sounds mean, that probably sounds harsh, but I think it's the truth. I see so many issues with kids. You see some of these gender type things. And I know some people might get mad at me and say, "Oh, well, Lenny's talking about these different LGBT communities." I don't dislike LGBTQ. I do dislike the idea of a parent that says that their 7-year-old son or 7-year-old daughter can declare themselves to be a different gender, and so they change their sex. I think that's absurd. And I'm not picking on LGBTQ. There are plenty of parents that do those types of things, that make those types of decisions for their kids, or just so unable to relate to their kid in any way outside of that community. Does that make sense? This is broad. This is broad. This isn't just LGBTQ. This is every little thing, academics, just different hobbies the kid does. So many different ways I've seen parents just fuck up and they don't allow their kids to live a high quality life because the parents themselves are so mediocre that they don't know anything about what it means to potentially live a high quality life. They've never experienced anything. So they restrict their kids, and their kids they strip away the kid's ability to experience anything. When I was watching that show and she said, "What is that music?" I was thinking to myself, has she never heard of punk rock before? Lady, where the fuck did you grow up that you've never heard of punk rock music? That'd be like some parent hearing their kid listen to rap and being like, "What kind of music is this? What are they doing? Are they rhyming? What's this beat? What's going on?" It's bro, it's rap. You've never heard of rap? Have you been outside? Do you turn on a radio? I know that probably sounds so small, but to me, how do I put this? To me, if you're the kind of parent that has never heard of punk or rap in this example, what else don't you know about? There's no way you're experiencing life. There's no way you're actually observing things around you if you don't even know these very basic things that probably most people understand. Does that make sense? And so one of my philosophies is that as a parent, you shouldn't have kids until you've experienced enough life. You shouldn't have kids unless you've known what it's been like to be out of shape and get in shape, because you need to teach your kids how to be healthy. You need to teach your kids, not the school, you. You should not be a parent unless you've dated enough. I have a weird philosophy, and I know I'm probably gonna get hate for this. I'm probably gonna make a video in the future about this, but I think one of the title of an upcoming video in the future is gonna be all good fathers or good fathers should be playboys, something like that. I don't know the exact title yet, but basically the premise is that, in my opinion, a lot of good fathers should be playboys at some point in their past. I'm not saying they had to be like assholes or complete dickheads or just like really hurt women, but what I am saying is that they should have had some kind of sexual experience. They should have at least been on several dates. They should at least know how to go on dates. They should at least know how to talk to women in a manner that's appropriate and effective for dating. And the reason why I say this, and of course there should be a female version of this too, but the reason why I say this is because eventually when you have kids, you're gonna need to teach your kids how to treat the opposite sex effectively. And if you have never been on dates, if you don't interact with women, if you have bad experiences with women, and I'm saying this as a man, so I'm specifying women, but obviously if you're a girl watching this, just switch the gender. If you have bad experiences with the opposite gender, you will be unfit to teach your kids anything about dealing with the opposite gender. You will not be allowed to. You're not qualified because you haven't done it yourself. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So you need to learn how to deal with the opposite sex. That means you need to challenge yourself. You need to go through discomfort. You're going through these discomfort, these uncomfortable scenarios. That way your kids won't have to, or at the very least, it won't be as uncomfortable for them. It'll be simpler for them. And I would hope that's what we want for our kids. Money. This is a big one. Most parents are not fit to have kids because they don't know shit about money. So many people I've met in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and even 70s know nothing about money. How in the world have you been on the planet for that long and you've never bothered to try to teach yourself about money? You've never bothered to teach yourself on how banking works. You've never bothered to understand what fractional reserve banking is. You've never bothered to even try to learn what real estate is. Not even, let alone real estate investing, just real estate. Real estate is a concept. Stocks, bonds, REITs, trust. You don't know what any of these things are. You know the basic stuff. Oh, I got my 401k. I got my W-2. That's bullshit. That's not going to help your kids succeed in life. You're not fit to be a parent because you don't know the fundamentals of these concepts. And this, I know I start off with like punk rock, but I think it's almost like a trickle-down effect. She doesn't know what punk rock is. So there's probably so many things about life she has no idea about. And I know it's fiction, but I see parents like this in real life all the time. It stuns me. And so this is what I mean when I say we should have no more unfit parents. Most parents are unfit, and I dislike the idea of unfit parents. Ultimately, the reason why I dislike the idea of unfit parents is because every unfit parent creates an unfit child who ultimately becomes an unfit parent, who creates this endless cycle of mediocrity and low quality people in society. Does that make sense? So if you're watching this right now, I already told you what you should be looking up. I already told you, focus on learning about health, focus on learning about relationships, focus on learning about finances. Do not allow yourself to be an unfit parent. I'm not saying you have to be a perfect parent. I don't think there's such a thing as a perfect parent. You will probably make mistakes as a parent. I don't think it's possible to not make mistakes. I don't think it's possible to not get your kids mad at you. I don't think it's possible to have like a perfect household or a perfect family where nothing bad ever happens. But what I am saying in this video is that you should challenge yourself to exceed the norm. You should challenge yourself to be above mediocrity and to at least be a relatively fit parent. We have too many unfit parents in society as it is. Please do not allow yourself to be another one.